Hello there everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to talk about the brand new looks, or I guess brand new look of the Lanterns TV series. So Lanterns is an upcoming American superhero television series based on DC Comics, featuring the Green Lantern characters Hal Jordan and John Stewart. Produced by DC Studios and Warner Brothers Television. It will be the third television series in the DC universe. It features Jordan and Stewart investigating a murder on Earth. The series was created by Chris Mundy, Damon Lindelof, and Tom King for HBO. Obviously, Tom King is an American author / comic book writer, a former CIA officer. Oh wow, crazy. He's best known for his comic books, obviously The Vision from Marvel Comics, The Sheriff of Babylon for DC Comics imprint Vertigo, and Batman, Mr. Miracle, and Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Obviously, very great comic book artist / creator. So there we go. So obviously with Mundy serving as a showrunner too. Kyle Chandler and Aaron Peer respectively star as Hal Jordan and John Stewart, alongside Kelly MacDonald and Nathan Fillion. Craig Berlanti began developing a Green Lantern series by October 2019, after James Gunn and Peter Safran became co-CEOs of DCSTUDIOS in October 2022. The series was redeveloped. It was announced in January 2023 along with its detective story style, obviously, which was inspired by the series True Detective 2013, obviously to the present, and Slow Horses, obviously 2022 to the present. I would say also Twin Peaks for some reason, because Twin Peaks is also about, solving a mystery, and there's also this special agent Dale Cooper in that series, and I love Twin Peaks, so there we go. The involvement of Mundy, Lindelof, and King was confirmed in mid-2024 when HBO ordered the series. Slow Horses' James Hawes was hired to direct the first 2 episodes in October, when Chandler and Pierre were cast. Filming took place in Los Angeles from February to July 2025, with Stephen Williams, Geeta Pheasant Patel, and Alek Sakharov also directing. Lanterns is scheduled to premiere in mid-2026 and will consist of 8 episodes. It will be part of the DCU's Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters. So there we go. Obviously, the premise goes as followed. Green Lanterns are intergalactic peacekeepers who wear rings that give them extraordinary powers. The series follows experienced Lantern Hal Jordan, there we go, and new recruit John Stewart, as they investigate a murder in Nebraska, which leads them to a darker mysteries and reckonings. So there you go. Obviously, Lanterns will consist of 8 episodes, with James also directing the 2nd episode, Stephen Williams, Geeta Pheasant Patel, and Alek Sakharov also directing episodes. So there we go. Alright, let's talk about Hal Jordan, the GOAT himself, played by Kyle Chandler. I've seen him in Manchester by the Sea, which is a great film. It's really sad, but still a great story. So there we go. A former test pilot and legendary member of the Green Lantern Corps, who is approaching retirement and is filling in to train John Stewart. So there we go. The writers took inspiration from the character of Sam Shepard's portrayal of Chuck Yeager in the film The Right Stuff. That's interesting. Yeah, okay. Showrunner Chris Mundy felt Chandler had the same qualities as well as a dry wit that they felt was important for Jordan. So there we go. Aaron Pierre as John Stewart, a new Green Lantern recruit whom Jordan is training to replace himself. I guess, does that make sense? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, Mundy said the character was both a marine and an artistic architect, and felt Pierre could portray both of those aspects. He said Pierre was a serious theater actor, yet he also looks like he was built in a lab to be an action star. Yeah, that's really nice. Director James also said Pierre had a magnificent presence. He felt so forceful, so cool, so understated. That's really good, because John Stewart is one of those characters that you want to keep for the rest, I guess, for the upcoming years. Because obviously, John Stewart is one of the, I would say, younger Green Lanterns, right? So there we go. And obviously, if you were to have John Stewart in the DC universe, along with David Corenswet Superman, Supergirl played by Millie Alcock, and maybe Hawkgirl played by Isabella Merced, you obviously have 4 members already for the Justice League, right? So yeah, John Stewart doesn't really need to be old, right? So it's great that they actually have a younger actor, I would say, compared to Kyle Chandler's Hal Jordan. So there we go. We have Kelly MacDonald as Carrie, a sheriff devoted to her family and close-knit town. She is a Scottish actress, which is interesting. Obviously, she has received various accolades, including a BAFTA award and a Primetime Emmy award, and 4 Screen Actors Guild awards. That's interesting. Really talented actors there. So there we go. We also have Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, an abrasive member of the Green Lantern Corps and Justice Gang, obviously seen as Superman, who Fillion described as the last Green Lantern you want in an emergency. Fillion said the character is a little bit higher strung in Lanterns compared to his introduction in the film Superman, and that he enjoyed exploring the character in a new environment. I'm not quite sure, like, obviously I would love to see Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner and Jon Stewart and obviously Hal Jordan in the same scenes, but I think obviously Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, he's a dickhead, obviously. He's a real idiot compared to the other serious Green Lanterns, right? And in the comics, a lot of people hate Guy Gardner because he's just like this, he's kind of like, he's annoying, right? But I think that could be a really interesting, relationship for the other Green Lanterns to have in the series. How are they going to develop around Guy Gardner? So there we go. Obviously, we have recurring characters. We have Garrett Dillahunt as William McCone, a modern cowboy who hides himself, self-righteous, conspiracy-minded personality behind a charming facade. That's interesting. Okay. That's interesting. That's a very interesting, I guess, explanation for this character. I'm thinking about other characters, but I would say maybe he's an alien because he has this conspiracy-minded personality behind the charming facade. I'm not quite sure. That could be alien coded. So there we go. Purna Yagathan as a woman, obviously, who is composed and cunning as the influential man around her. That's interesting. Ulrich Thompson as Sinestro, a rogue former member of the Green Lantern Corps who is ruthless yet undeniably charming and was once a mentor to his friend, obviously Hal Jordan. Yeah, okay, that's really cool. Obviously, Sinestro is part of the Yellow Lantern Corps, right? Nicole Ari Parker as Bernadette Stewart, Jon Stewart's mother. So that's interesting. Jasmine Cephas Jones portrays a young Bernadette. So there we go. Jason Ritter as Billy McCone, Carrie's husband and William's son, who does his father's bidding. Chairman Augustus as Jon Stewart Sr., Jon Stewart's father, right? J. Alfonso Nicholson portrays a young Jon Stewart. So they're going to go to the past in one of the episodes or one of the scenes, obviously. So that's really interesting. Obviously, we have Paul Ben Victor as Anton, an extraterrestrial who is devoted to exposing the truth and exacting vengeance against those who wronged his people and delivers an own brand of justice. That's interesting. This one is an alien, an extraterrestrial who is devoted to exposing the truth. Is he another Green Lantern, or maybe a Yellow Lantern, or an Orange Lantern, right? That's interesting. We have guests, right? We have Chris Coy as Waylon Sanders, a nervous truck driver and an intelligent survivor whose real name is unknown. Okay, there are a lot of interesting characters in here that have the potential to be like extraterrestrial or like aliens, right? We have Carrie Christopher as Noah, a charming, polite, and gifted small-town child. Additionally, Laura Linney and Paula Beton have been cast in undisclosed roles. So there we go. Obviously, Greg Berlanti, the producer of multiple DC Comics-based television series, announced that he was developing a series based on the Green Lantern characters from the streaming service HBO Max in October 2019. Berlanti had previously co-written the film Green Lantern in 2011. Obviously, in January 2022, he said the series would span several decades and tell 2 stories about Green Lanterns on Earth, as well as a story about the villainous character Sinestro in space. The series was officially picked up for a 10-episode season by HBO Max that October. Obviously, Mark Guggenheim, who also co-wrote the Green Lantern film, and Seth Graham Smith were revealed to be writing the series, with Graham Smith serving as showrunner. The series could not make use of the main Green Lantern from the comic books Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart because they were being reserved for DC Extended Universe, which was just wasted potential, like always. Obviously, instead the series was set to explore the other Green Lanterns from the comics, including Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Simon Bez, Alan Scott, Kilowog, and new Green Lanterns created for the series. That's interesting. Could be really interesting. But obviously, the DC Extended Universe, so the Snyderverse, actually wanted to do something with Green Lantern, but like I said, wasted potential. They were pussy enough. They were pussies and didn't do it. So, another reason why the DC Extended Universe never worked. Obviously, the same goes for the same CW, right? They also wanted to do something for the Green Lanterns, but obviously got cancelled because, pussies. But obviously, because the Green Lantern film from 2011 didn't receive well, everyone was scared that another Green Lantern project wouldn't be a success, right? But that's just bullshit. I think this series is going to prove that. I think this is going to be a great detective story and a great science fiction sci-fi series, right? I think that's a really, really interesting. Obviously, there we go. So in April 2021, the series was revealed to primarily focus on Scott, a secretly gay FBI agent in 1941 who becomes Earth's first Green Lantern, and Garner, an embodied of 1980s hyper-patriotism, alongside a half-alien Brie Jarda in 1984. Obviously, Finn Wittrock was cast as Garner. That's interesting. Okay. After Berlanti received permission from producer Ryan Murphy for the actor to prioritize Green Lantern over the planned second season of Murphy's Netflix series Ratchet, an actor was in negotiations to portray Scott. The series was said to be the most expensive in Berlanti's career and was expected to begin filming later in 2021. Obviously, because that never worked out. In April 2022, Discovery Inc. and Warner Bros. Parent company Warner Media merged to become Warner Bros. Discovery, led by President and CEO David Zaslav. Oh boy, not him. The new company was expected to restructure DC Entertainment, and Zaslav began searching for an equivalent to Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige to lead the new subsidiary. In June, Irvin said there was no scheduled start date for filming this series, and the production was working on getting all the stars to align. A month later, the series was reaffirmed to be in development despite this cancellation of other HBO Max and DC projects by WBD, obviously Warner Brothers Discovery. In 2022, in October, obviously was revealed to have left the series. Graham Smith was revealed to have left the series, which was being redeveloped to focus on Jon Stewart. James Gunn, the GOAT, the legends, our messiahs, obviously, and Peter Safran were announced to obviously co-chairs as co-CEOs of the newly formed DC Studios at the end of the month. A week after starting the new roles, the pair had begun developing an 8 to 10 year plan for the new DC universe, and would obviously be a soft reboot of the old DC Extended Universe. Gunn said until December 2022 the Green Lantern characters would be an important part of the new DC universe, obviously. So he and Safran unveiled the first project for the DC slate, which begins with Chapter 1 Gods of Monsters. The third television series in the slate was Lanterns, obviously a new iteration of the long-in-development Green Lantern series. This version features the best-known Green Lanterns, HALJORDAN and Jon Stewart, and Safran said it would be an Earth-based detective story rather than the space opera that Berlanti had envisioned. Obviously, he said the series would be an HBO quality event in the style of crime drama series True Detective and the spy thriller series Slow Horses. The mystery that Jordan and Stewart investigate leads into the main storyline for the DC universe. So the series was an important project for Gunn and Safran. So there we go. Obviously, the series received an 8-episode straight-to-series order from Max, corporate sibling channel HBO, in June 2024, when Mundy was confirmed as a showrunner and executive producer. So there we go. I mean, I'm so excited for this brand new, obviously, series. I love Green Lantern. I'm big fan of Green Lantern stories and characters. Like I said, I had enough, because people, or I guess those creatives, always kept on, pushing for something Green Lantern-ish, but they were also not ready for it yet. I'm not quite sure. It's really interesting, but it's also good that we have a brand new Green Lantern series coming up. So there we go. Alright. So Hawes said comparisons to True Detective were valid due to Mendy's writing and the buddy cop structure, but Lantos had more humor than the series. He compared it to the films with Americana heart, such as Fargo, okay, interesting, and No Country for Old Men. Mendy said Hawes' direction for the first 2 episodes captured the scope he was hoping for. That's good. Cynthia Summers and John Piano were respectively the costume and production designer. That is also really interesting, so there we go. Obviously, let's talk about the Lantern Corps, right? I've talked about the series now. Let's talk about the Lantern Corps. So obviously 7 corps will be born, 7 corps will shine their light brightly, 7 corps will be at war. Obviously, the Lantern Corps are an organization that harness the emotional electromagnetic spectrum. Originally just the Green Lantern Corps, it has since expanded with red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo and violet, as well as black, white and ultraviolet. Obviously, the other Green Lantern Corps weren't I guess officially made since I think 2012, 13 or something. So there we go.
Saint Walker, help me!
My ring's power is the power of hope, but it can only really help a Green Lantern!
Oh, I love Hal. Is he coming?
Brought us here.
For stuff. That's why I'm here. Indigo 1, get this thing off me!
I understand and sympathize, Larfleeze, but we did not bring you out here.
Wait a minute. If none of us are responsible for bringing us out here, then who is?
That would be me.
So obviously, coinciding with the dawn of the universe, 7 different entities were spawned, each representing a single emotion. Obviously, you have the Eon, I think, took a form resembling a whale or a fish, obviously represented by the willpower. Parallax, the parasitic entity of fear. Obviously, we had other entities too, like the demonic bull, known as the Butcher, obviously represents the overwhelming power of rage. So in the beginning of the universe, there were several creatures that had the same, the emotional spectrum, right? If that makes sense. So the immortal guardians of the universe first learned to unlock the power of these entities when they tapped into the immense power of Eon. This led to the creation of the first Lantern Corps. The members of this force became known as the Green Lanterns, named for the shape of their power batteries, which they were able to harness Eon's green energy of willpower. Obviously, the Green Lanterns were tasked with maintaining order throughout the universe as an intergalactic police force. This force replaced the failed robotic manhunters, who had become a threat to all life due to the programming glitch. So that's interesting. Obviously, manhunters are supposed to be like evil androids, right? That battled the Green Lantern Corps. They were created by the Guardians of the Universe as an intergalactic police force, but their program was corrupted and they massacred an entire sector. Obviously, their mantra is no man escapes the manhunters, and they reside on the planet Biot. They also inspired a manhunter cult on Earth during Millennium. So that's a comic book run, I believe. So there we go. Anyhow, that is very, very interesting. Obviously, there are a couple of Lantern, corpses. We have the Alpha Lantern Corps, which is a branch of the Green Lantern Corps. We have the Black Lantern Corps, the Blue Lantern Corps, the Green Lantern Corps, obviously Indigo Tribe, Orange Lantern Corps, which only has 1 member. I'm going to explain that in just a sec. We have the Red Lantern Corps, the Sinestro Corps, like obviously the, the Yellow Lanterns, right? The Star Sapphire Corps, which is I guess the Pink Lanterns, right? The Ultraviolet Corps, White Lantern Corps. I think the Ultraviolet Corps is also the one with Star Sapphire, but I'm not quite sure. But anyhow. So obviously, the list of Green Lanterns, right? The Green Lanterns are the the most important ones of the batches, right? We have a couple of humans. I mean, all of them, most of them, have extraterrestrials in their sector, but Earth for some reason has like 8 or 9 of them. Obviously makes sense because obviously we are readers and we want to sympathize with our heroes, so that's why Earth has so many human lanterns or Green Lanterns, right? So the first one was Alan Scott, was the original Green Lantern character created by the Golden Age of comic books. Alan created the mantle and entity of Green Lantern by himself and is not associated with the Green Lantern Corps, since his powering was authorized by the Guardians before he even obtained it. Deauthorized, interesting, yeah, very interesting. Prior to the crisis, Scott's ring ran on magic and not the central power battery of Oa. In the New 52, Alan Scott is the modern-day Green Lantern of Earth 2. So there we go. We have Hal Jordan, obviously created in 1959 by writer John Brum and artist Gil Kane, and first appeared in Showcase 22 in October 1959. Hal Jordan is a reinvention of the Green Lantern concept, and this is a member that occasionally leader of the Green Lantern Corps is as well as a founding member of the Justice League. Guy Gardner is a core member of the Green Lantern family of characters, and for a time was also a significant member of the Justice League, who was created by John Brum and Gil Kane in Green Lantern Volume 2, 59 March 1968. Even though the character was changed significantly in the 1980s, who turned him into a jingoistic parody of an ultra-macho, red-blooded American male. Gardner's appearance was originally partnered on actor Martin Milner, which is interesting. So John Stewart, obviously, was the fourth African-American superhero to appear in DC Comics. The character was created by Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams and first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 2, 87 in December 1971. When artist Neil Adams came up with the idea of a substitute Green Lantern, Stewart's original design was based on actor Sidney Pater, I think, which is a Bahamian American actor. So that's really interesting. All right, we have Kyle Rayner, a very interesting Green Lantern, created by writer Ron Mertz and artist Darryl Banks. Rayner first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 3 in 1994 as part of the Emerald's Twilight storyline, becoming the sole Green Lantern for years throughout the late 1990s and mid-2000s. During this period, he was also briefly known as Eon. So there we go. Simon Baz, created by writer Jeff Jones and Doc Mank, I think. He is also a very interesting character. Simon first appeared in 2012 following the New 52 as part of the story arc Rise of the Third Army, obviously replacing HALJORDAN as the Green Lantern Earth's Sector. Prior to this, the character made an unnamed cameo in Free Comic Book Day Special Edition 1. It was later added to the Justice League in 2013. I actually have a comic book, I guess, omnibus, or like a collection with all the comic book issues in one specific book, right? But obviously this story was about Simon Baz, and it's a really interesting character. I really want to see him in the show too, coming up, right? Maybe in the future, right? And I think the actor Dali Bensala, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he's best known for No Time to Die and Athena and The Veil. He's from like a French region or something, from somewhere in the I don't know, like one of those islands that France owns. So he can speak French, he can speak American, which is really interesting, or I guess English. And I would love to see like Adil Al-Arbi and Bilal Fallah make like, I don't know, maybe direct those episodes, maybe like make a movie about him, because I think Simon Baz has this Islamic culture to him. I think that's really, really interesting. Simon Baz is such a great actor, or a character, my bad. But because his story is, centered around 9/11, I really want people to, understand this character was made because he had so much willpower to protect himself, his family, and, the people around him, because he didn't want to be specifically known as, okay, you're part of those guys' group, right? If you know what I mean, from 9/11, I think such an interesting character. I would love to see him. Obviously, we also have Jessica Cruz, obviously created by Jeff Jones. She is the first female human member of the Green Lantern Corps and the Justice League. Jessica Cruz briefly appeared in Green Lantern Volume 2 in July 2013, but did not make her official debut until the last pages of Justice League 2. Obviously, when the Ring of Voltham locates her, she was dubbed Power Ring while she was host of the Ring of Voltham. More on him in just a sec, but it's not a member of the Crime Syndicate of America. Chris became an official member of the Green Lantern Corps at the end of the Darkseid War storyline. Let's talk about Voltham, right? Like I said, I have that comic book series that delved into Simon Baz's backstory, but we also have some backstory on Voltham, right? Voltham, also known as the First Lantern, is the first creator creature in the multiverse who ever wielded a power ring. He's the most powerful lantern in existence, possessing nigh unlimited strength. He's an enemy to all of the Lantern Corps and the Guardians of the Guardians of the Universe. Not the Guardians of the Galaxy, bruh. Anyway, Voltham was born 1 millennia into the future of mankind on Earth 15 of the multiverse. He and his mother were scientists who discovered the emotional electromagnetic spectrum, a multiversal force which was powered by life of every being in the multiverse, right? By harnessing the spectrum, Voltham and his mother were able to create a travel lantern, an experimental device which would allow its users to travel across time and space. Eventually, an evil race of alien invaders came to Voltham's home planet and obliterated the civilization. In the final moments of his planet, Voltham was told by his mother that to take the travel lantern and find a way to save their people. Voltham left as his mother was subsequently crushed by a building. So anyway. Okay, so on Earth 3, Volta made a pact with a sorcerer named Mordru to create a power ring out of a piece of his soul. However, after dispute, Voltham left Mordru on Earth 3 behind. This ring became known as the Ring of Voltham and was used of the evil Earth 3 version of Green Lantern known as Power Ring. That's interesting. Eventually, Voltham found what he was looking for on Earth 0, the main universe in the multiverse, during the year... Oh boy, I think 10 billion BC, Voltham discovered the Mutasian species on the planet Malthus. These Mutasians were incredibly intelligent species who sought to learn the secrets of the spectrum. The Mutasians planned to pour all of their emotions into a new battery they called the Great Heart, as they believed losing their emotions would lead to greater discovery. Obviously, upon successfully completing the ritual, a power ring emerged from the center of the Great Heart. Voltham slipped this ring and obviously on and became the first lantern in the multiverse. So there we go. Obviously, Voltham became a figure of law and order in the universe of Earth Zero, exacting judgment on criminals everywhere. So obviously, we've got plenty of opportunities, obviously plenty of stories to tell with those Green Lantern, or I guess Lantern series. I think with the main antagonists of this series will probably be Sinestro, right? But we also, you know, are able to get Black Hand. Black Hand is like the equivalent of like death to the Lanterns, right? So Black Hand is literally death, right? We also have the White Lantern, which is an interesting character because, you know, most of the people know him as Kyle Rayner too, but Kyle is also the one who actually wields the White Lantern ring because he has the ability to, you know, use all of the emotions on the spectrum, right? So there we go. So yeah, really interesting, you know, thing to theorize about, right? But obviously Voltham could also be a villain for the series, but I'm not quite sure. I think that Voltham is a bigger threat than just for one, you know, TV show. Maybe just a Green Lantern or a, like, for example, like, I don't know, maybe he's the biggest threat of the last season, right? Maybe that could be the case if there were going to be more seasons after this, obviously, hopefully, right? So, like I already talked about, the Green Lanterns, or I suppose the Lanterns are, you know, full of like emotion, right? We've got a couple of members from each group, right? And I'm going to talk about those in just a second. Obviously, I've already talked about Green Lanterns, right? But we also have the Yellow Lanterns, which obviously have the emotion of fear, right? Consisting of Sinestro and a couple of other ones, right? Oh, I guess that is just the Sinestro Corps, right? But obviously, the one prominent other villain from DC was also Scarecrow from Batman, was also one of the members of the Yellow Lanterns, right? We also have the Red Lantern Corps, which obviously, fun fact, Supergirl was one of these, you know, members of, which is interesting. She was also in Lego Dimensions, where she also had the ability to transform into a Red Lantern, which is really interesting. Obviously, yeah, it would make sense if, for example, Millie Alcock was like, okay, I saw my entire planet die, you know, my city died, you know, maybe she has the power to wield a Red Lantern. Could be really cool, right? Because we saw that in the trailer. And obviously, Millie Alcock being like a bad as she is, and just, you know, being angry, man, I would be down to see that. Anyway, so that's really interesting. The Red Lantern Corps, I think a couple of other superheroes have also been in there too, because, yeah, why not, right? I think Batman even too, which makes sense, right? Because he lost his parents, right? And he's angry about that. So, anyway, we have the Orange Lantern Corps. There is only one member of that, because Orange Lanterns are all about greed. And we have, obviously, one, which is Larfleeze, and Larfleeze has the power of, like, greed, right? He wants to own everything. Obviously, we have the Blue Lantern Corps, which is Hope. I guess the most prominent member is Saint Walker. I would love to see Saint Walker in this series too. Maybe let Doc Jones play him. I think he has the posture for him, and that's really interesting. Indigo Tribe is Compassion. And fun fact, all of these Indigo Tribe members are actually criminals, but now they have the power of compassion, and they understand everything, right? So, obviously, it's made up of some of the worst killers and sadists in the universe. The rings force them to feel compassion, making them experience remorse from their actions. They've had their agency removed, which ironically doesn't seem very compassionate, right? So there we go. And they're also the one with like an English, not an English language, but more like a alien language. So there we go. The Star Sapphire Corps is Love, and these consist most of them are like women, like in this corpse, right? So this is powered by the emotion of love, which is a wonderful thing. Usually, although often forced for good, the star sapphires are often people who have been loved and spurned, leading to a lot of anger exes who now have superpowers. You can see how that might cause problems. Yes, interesting. And Star Sapphire is also in love with HALJORDAN, which is obviously Green Lantern. Obviously, Black Lantern Corps, like I talked about, is death, right? With Black Hand being the most prominent, member. We have the White Lantern Corps, right? If Black Lanterns represent death, obviously the White Lanterns represent obviously life. It would be more accurate to say that the Lantern Corps represent the full emotional spectrum, living, obviously, life. So there we go. And obviously Kyle Rayner is the most prominent member of that group, I think. So there we go. That's pretty much it. Those are the members that I wanted to talk about now. And that's pretty much it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. I really want to talk about Green Lanterns because I think, there's such an interesting, character that they're so interesting. The story is so intriguing, right? And I would love to see them, obviously, in the show. And I can't wait what they'll do in the show with the Green Lanterns, right? I know it's going to focus on the true detective kind of thing, like solving a crime in the sector of Earth, which makes sense, right? But obviously we're going to see Sinestro, and I hope we can get to see some more like cameos or details or whatever. So there we go. And obviously maybe this can tie into like Man of Tomorrow, the sequel to Superman. Obviously the Green Lanterns are up in space and Brainiac is also from space, so maybe that has some kind of link. I'm not quite sure, but ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will check you later. Goodbye, everyone.
I trained my entire life for this.
You're not ready to get up in front of the class until the ring says you are.